national champion concern, and this is what a lot of people brought up with the Georgia program, is Bobo's play calling abilities in tight games in big situations, which he has a track record of not doing well in from his time at Georgia the first time around.
I
Well,
think go ahead, Wes.
well, I was going to say, my first thought on all this was, and I think this was kind of expected. Just reading what the Georgia insiders or whatever were saying, wasn't a surprise that it was Bobo. Seems like maybe this was a case where they brought him in knowing that Monken probably at some point wanted to get back to the NFL. Also, I think from what I read, the recruiting side of this, you either love it or you just don't. And if you don't, even if you're a coordinator, I think if you're a coordinator and you're really good at what you do, some places you can get away with not really being completely dialed in to the recruiting side if you do everything else extremely well. But at a place like Georgia, where Kirby Smart puts such an emphasis on recruiting, um, you have to be dialed into that stuff. So I would say that I believe this has been in the works. I think Bobo was brought in with the knowledge that, hey, if things are going well, you'll probably be replacing Monken, and maybe Georgia's view is that Bobo can kind of upgrade some of what he does offensively and build off of what Monken was able to do. Because I think Monken was really good for them. As much talent as they did have, I think he elevated them on offense. If I'm a Georgia fan, I'm probably a little annoyed that I have the best program in the country right now, and it appears I didn't even attempt to look around and go get a big hot name or something like that. Kirby has earned every amount of goodwill possible. Kirby could have hired the family dog if he wanted to call plays, and people would have had to have been like, well, he just won 2 national titles. It's okay. However, I do certainly see why there would be some frustration. But Bobo knows offense. I know it's fun to make fun of him if you're a Carolina fan and all that stuff. The guy knows offense. Now it is an old school approach. It certainly isn't quite, I think what Georgia was doing on offense this past season or the last couple of seasons. But the guy does know offense, and they have enough talent, and they will continue to recruit enough talent that you maybe don't even have to be that creative on offense. So I think that will play into their favor. But it is interesting. Kirby went strongly in the direction of continuity and familiarity versus going out and getting the next big thing.
And essentially, he's handing the keys over, saying, "Hey, here's what Monken did. Just keep it on tracks. Don't drive it off the road into a tree, and we should be fine." And for the most part, when you look at Georgia's schedule, it's not that challenging. And they were supposed to play Oklahoma this year. That got taken off the schedule because of Oklahoma's impending move to the SEC. So they're not really tested out of conference. In that first month, the only SEC team they play is South Carolina. You look at, okay, you might get tested going on the road to Neyland late in the season, but for the most part, this shouldn't be a difficult schedule for Georgia to navigate. But when you get in the SEC championship game, a potential college football playoff semifinal or national championship game, I think that's where the concern would come in is, okay, how does he handle these pressure situations where in the past he's made the wrong choice?
I think also it'll be very difficult to tell early on what the impact of this is because, to your point, they're going to be playing teams that they will outmatch and overmatch and out-talent. And, the Bobo scheme works. And I would imagine there's going to be adjustments to it again. But for the most part, what he wants to do, it does work. It's traditionally been proved that it works. However, in today's college football game, you have to be able to go score points. You have to be dynamic on offense. That may not be apparent against some of these teams where Georgia will just outmatch them. And it will not be apparent against most teams because Georgia's defense will be so good that you don't have to go outscore teams. But if you're Georgia right now, if you're Kirby Smart, you're not even at the point where you're competing for your regular season anymore. You're competing for championships and playoffs, and you have to almost make every decision with that in mind. And I think that's when things will get interesting is when they do face, you know, and Ohio State, where you have to go score a bunch of points. You have to be dynamic on offense. Does the move end up showing, um, kind of its age at that point? I don't know. Again, Kirby Smart has earned the absolute benefit of the doubt. You get a veteran guy, but man, it is kind of interesting. And how about the fact that how many guys from that South Carolina staff a few years ago are now on-field coaches at Georgia and Alabama? I mean, it's kind of insane how it's played out.
When you look at Kirby Smart's OC track record at Georgia, it's very, I'm not gonna win any prize by saying that Todd Monken was a great hire for him. Now, they do have tons of talent. They always do. It's Georgia. I mean, you know that, Tyler. There can be years where they have more than others, right? But it's not like they've been incredible in offense every year, no matter who the coordinator is. Mike Bobo had a great track record at Georgia when he was there during his first stint. Overall, you can pick out some hiccups and things like that, but they were generally very, very good on offense. They also had a lot of talent, guys like Todd Gurley, really good quarterback play, et cetera. But when you look at who he had, I mean, he had Jim Chaney. They had the James Coley situation. I mean, that didn't work out too well. Todd Monken was a great hire, and Monken has such an interesting resume because he's been a position coach at a bunch of different colleges. He's been an NFL position coach. He's been a college coordinator. He's had a wide variety of backgrounds. Spent time with Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. He's been a head coach where he called plays at Southern Miss, and he's been an NFL OC. And he really took, to Wes's point, Georgia's talent level and just took it to the next level. A guy like Stetson Bennett, that a lot of people, I'd put myself in that category. Okay, are they really going to win a championship with this guy? The answer is yes, a couple of them. And,
yeah, two.
and Monken is a big, big reason for that. And so I don't think you can say, whether you're a Georgia fan, South Carolina, outside observer, I don't think it's fair to just say, well, they won't miss a beat, because there will be some differences. I mean, what Monken does and what Bobo has done traditionally, there's some carryover. There's also some differences. So will he blend in some more of what Monken was already doing with his own system? What he ran at Georgia when he was there the first time was a little different from what he ran at Colorado State, for instance, where they mixed in some more, college-esque, for lack of a better term, some more college-type plays into that playbook. So the OC does matter. And I can understand from the Georgia point of view why their fans may want to say, okay, why can't we go hire another Monken? Well, there's not a bunch of those out there. There's not guys that have been coaching for however long, 20, 30 years like he has, that have been a college head coach, NFL coordinator, and a college OC. You don't see a lot of guys like that, but I think everybody now is looking for the next Liam Cohen or Joe Brady, or going and plucking a guy from the pros that will work. Now, for all of those, you can also go out and do what Mark Stoops did. You can hire Rick Scangarello, and it doesn't work out well at all. So is there a comfort level to this pick? I don't think there's any doubt about that. But for Kirby Smart, maybe that comfort level and knowing what Mike Bobo can bring and his familiarity with the personnel, the school, the team, what he can do in recruiting, those probably weighed in a little bit heavier than, do I go and try to make a little bit of a splashier hire that may be riskier?
Now, there similarly was a relationship between Kirby and James Coley when that decision was made to make him the OC in 2019. That year didn't go well. They quickly moved on from him and made Todd Monken the OC in 2020. So Kirby's obviously not afraid to pull the trigger if things aren't going well.
Sure.
It's kind of, and again, Bobo does have a long track record of success at Georgia from a statistical standpoint. So it's like, okay, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, but if things aren't going right, it's not like they're going to hold on to him for 2 or 3 years too long. If it's not going right, he's going to go out there and find somebody else. But again, it's kind of more the sense of handing over the keys and saying, okay, here's what we've been doing. This been successful. You have the talent. Just keep it on the right tracks, and we should be fine.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. I there are two different thoughts here, and I think one of them is like, could you get better? Could you get better? And I think you could probably make an argument that you could. However, I think in terms of you could also get way worse as well. So I wonder if there's not a sense here of Bobo being a known commodity as well, and kind of not running this thing off the tracks. However, I go back to what I said earlier. We're gonna find out come playoff time. We're gonna find out. I mean, if you're Georgia, you're judged on a different standard right now than pretty much any other program in the country because you've established these crazy expectations that now people are going to expect you to meet. Now, we are not privy to the conversations. We're not privy to the phone calls. Maybe, on the outside, it looks like you just not blindly, but you just without much else consideration said, all right, it's Mike Bobo's job. We don't know what went on inside the building, inside the office, as far as reaching out to other candidates, talking to other candidates. Maybe all that happened and it all just came back to Bobo. That is entirely possible.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's not really the same as like taking someone just because he's on staff and just because there's a relationship. Like the Coley thing definitely didn't work out. But Bobo does have more of a lengthy track record and a track record of success. I mean, to be fair, I know some South Carolina fans may not want to hear that, and we'll certainly be rooting for lots of failure, I guess.
Lots of 3 and outs, lots of 4th and 1, play action, incomplete passes.
So the two best, so Gamecock fans have their two best Mike Bobo memories or memories of him at other schools. And that was the 4th and 1 play action pass. And then, of course, the game in, what was the year, guys? Was it 14? Where they had the 1st and goal and you had an intentional grounding. They didn't run the football.
Yeah,
Run the ball, Bobo.
I brought that ball up last hour. It was 1st and goal from the 4. Hudson Mason got sacked. It led to an intentional grounding on 1st down. From the 14, they ran Gurley and then threw an incomplete pass. I don't even think it was into the end zone. So just a complete gaffe there. And then Marshall Morgan missed the field goal that would have tied the game. Now, again, defense can be blamed too, because that shouldn't have been a game that was that close to begin with. But yeah, you get in a late game situation like that, it falls apart. I also brought up from a Georgia fan's perspective, his gaffe at the end of the 2012 SEC championship game with not spiking the ball with 15 seconds to go. And that, of course, led to them losing that game, not going to what likely would have been a victory in the national championship against Notre Dame.
Man,
so
Tyler, the memory's just etched in there.
Again, this is something that I've known about for a long time, been close to the Georgia program for a long time, covered for several years. So that was my first thing, was seeing how people around that program reacted to it, and then seeing people from Carolina and other schools reacting to it. So again, I don't think this derails them from being a national championship contender. We'll just see how he handles those tight situations, should they get into them late in the season, in the postseason, whatever it may be.
What has the overall Georgia fan reaction been?
It's been kind of a shrug of the shoulders. I don't think anybody's necessarily excited about it, but again, he's never had this much talent to work with on one offense. He had Stafford, he had Marino, Murray, Green. You had the pieces here and there, but you never had this one dominant offensive force given all the talent on it. So there's optimism there. Again, everybody kind of brings up the play calling thing, and it's just kind of a wait and see, I guess. But I don't see anybody that's necessarily excited about it. I think a lot of people understand why this was made, because again, it's a national transition to just move up somebody that's already on the staff, somebody that does have a long history of calling plays. But I think it's more of a wait and see approach from the general Georgia consensus here.
About what I thought, about what you would think, I think.
Yeah. So run into a timeout. People are probably sick of us talking about Georgia football, considering I did it for the last 30 minutes last hour. We will jump into some South Carolina stuff. The men's basketball team was in action last night, and unfortunately, we're still talking about what's going on with G.G. Jackson and the attitude that he's displaying right now for this basketball team. We'll be right back on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, right here on 107.5 The Game.
Gotta take.
Hit us up on the Firehouse Subs text line.
Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen.
803-404-6100.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. Derek Carr is now the #1 pick in free agent quarterbacks. To be fair, free agency doesn't really start for another month, so timing helps him right now. But also, if the Prince of Darkness, Punxsutawney Aaron, sees his shadow after the cave of isolation and wants to leave Green Bay, do you also want to have to put up with him? Carr, at least, is not an ego-drenched headache every day. This is Damon Amendolara.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, Maria in Miami, and Jules in Troy, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with high-quality supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
1 pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Washington led the revolution. Lincoln saved the nation. Now, Galliana Kia is making history with the best deals in years. Gotta go to Galliana. America loves a great deal, and Galliana Kia delivers new Kias with zip, zero, nothing down, and zero payments for the next 3 months. Plus, at Galliana Kia, we'll get you out of your current lease or loan, even if you're over mileage, have months left, or still owe thousands. Worried about your credit? Don't sweat it. If you've got a job and you make at least $2,000 per month, our lenders can get you approved. Don't make a car buying mistake. If you want a great deal without the hassle, gotta go to Galliana. Galliana Kia on Greystone. I-126 Zoo exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or KiaColumbia.com. Rio stock number 3K1107. $278 per month for 84 months at 6.9 APR. Price plus tax tag includes $225 closing fee. Negative trade equity financed in new loans subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing. And for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Hey, Scott here from Traditions Fine Jewelers. Everybody knows that we have the best selection of engagement ring styles in the Southeast with over 1,000 styles to choose from. What amazes folks is that we also have the best prices. How do we do that? In Mine Diamonds, by working directly with site holders, the cutting companies that buy their rough diamonds directly from De Beers. And in the lab-grown diamonds, by working directly with laboratories that actually grow and cut the diamonds. No middlemen, better prices, only at Traditions Fine Jewelers.
What's up, Gamecock Nation? Ben Cato, Cato's Power Equipment. Hey, whatever your New Year's resolution is, I doubt it's to spend more time pushing that lawnmower this summer. So come to Cato's. Let Jeremy and the team set you up with an industry-leading zero-turn mower.
Hey, Matt Stedman here. Our service department genuinely takes pride in being the best at fixing the best. Our selections from Toro, Aaron's, and Gravely are not designed for downtime.
Cato's Power Equipment, 4012 West Beltline Boulevard, or online at catospowerequipment.com.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game.
Discover Herndon Certified. Herndon Chevrolet's premier used car warranty. Shop with complete confidence knowing Herndon Chevrolet has got you covered.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
With Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head.
on your home of the Gamecocks.
1075 The Game.
They'll lob it into Josh Gray. He backs in on Robbins. Throws up the shot off the glass. No good. Rebound pulled down by Jordan Wright, and that will do it. Wright will dribble it up across midcourt, and the Commodores will win in this building for the first time since 2013. Vanderbilt extends its winning streak to 4 in a row in conference play. The Gamecocks are unable to get a streak of their own going as they fall tonight to Vanderbilt 75-64.
You heard it right here last night on 107.5 The Game. The men's basketball team falling to Vanderbilt 75-64 for their 11th conference loss of the season. And this was a game that Vanderbilt jumped on them early with a 15-2 run to start the game. And then despite their best efforts in the second half, Michi Johnson had a great second half with 19 points. It was just too little too late for the Gamecocks. But the perhaps biggest story coming away from this game is the continued frustration shown by Gigi Jackson, who played limited minutes again last night, 16 points off the bench, 16 minutes off the bench, only 2 points and 1 rebound. And his body language in the huddle, untucking his jersey, taking his wrist tape off, not being engaged with his teammates continues to be a talking point as what likely could be his last couple of games at South Carolina continue to wind down.
I want to get Chris's take because he was there in person. But first, before we move forward, we need to tell everybody about our friends at Firehouse Subs, firehousesubs.com. Rapid Rescue. Today is Wednesday, I believe. Chris, what is our sub of the day on Wednesday?
It is the New York Steamer.
New York Steamer, which I got to admit, I have not tried yet. I know Chris has hyped it up. Terry was in here the other day talking about it. Gonna have to try that one soon. You can try it as well. $5.99 for a small, $7.99 for a medium is the price of the sub of the day every single day. All 7 days of the week, there is a special sub of the day that you can enjoy, but you don't have to order that. Obviously, you can order whatever sub you want. Maybe that's the meatball, turkey bacon ranch. My favorite is the brisket add bacon. Again, firehousesubs.com. Of course, we appreciate Larry and the entire team at Firehouse Subs supporting this show and being the sponsor of our text line, which is 803-404-6100. Go to firehousesubs.com. Chris, you were at the game.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to choose my words carefully on this whole situation, saga. Gigi Jackson for the, I would say, fourth straight game. There are conversations, let's put it like that. There are conversations about Gigi and South Carolina that don't involve basketball on the court, be it the fact that the last game before last night, tons of discussion from the announcing crew that was there about things such as body language, reactions to being put on the bench, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Chris, you were there in person yesterday. Did you see with your own eyes what was talked about and what has been sort of reported on online as well?
Yeah, saw some of that. You also saw, it's kind of strange, Wes. Like that's a word that has come to my mind because there were times during the game earlier, and of course Gigi didn't start again. He went in very early. I think he was first off the bench. Something happened, and I looked over and saw Lamont Paris signal for him, and Gigi, right in the game over to the scorer's table. But there were some instances where Gigi Jackson, and this probably wasn't shown on TV, haven't seen that copy yet, where he's over there talking to Lamont Paris. and they're kind of talking over some things that had just happened, or it's during a timeout or during a break in the action, and it seemed fine, really. But then you had kind of what happened at the end of the game. And then you had the on-court, like Lamont Paris talked a little bit about this at his press conference, how a player's emotional state can affect the way that they play. And I wonder if that's happened here as well, because you would rather be talking about just how a guy is playing. That's number one. Rather than talking about body language and things like that. But I think it has bled over to where they're kind of conflated a little bit. Watching GG last night, first of all, this offense has usually looked better when he's not on the court lately. I think the shot selections, he hit one shot last night, a fadeaway jumper. He can get that shot off any time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's settling, I think, of outside shots, threes, contested shots, settling for that too early. Not a lot of ball movement. Defensively, there was one possession where he didn't know what to do. I mean, he was kind of near the top of the key, near the free throw line, kind of looking around. And so then you can have another conversation about, well, whose fault is that or what's going on there? But yeah, the engagement level, certainly there are some concerns there, what you see when he's not on the court, not engaged. But that, I think, has really bled over to how he's played too, and maybe both of those things are affecting the other.
Lamont Paris was asked about it specifically, and I'm going to lean on Colin Taylor's story here. And maybe, by the way, do we have any of Lamont audio?
Yeah, I have him talking about the GG situation. Would you like me to play that?
Let's hit that. I was going to read it, but let's just let Lamont speak for himself on this.
Yeah, I didn't notice any of that, to be honest with you. I'm into the game, and the 5 guys that are on the court usually, occasionally I'll spend a little bit of time with the guys that are on the bench if something in the game pertains to them. So I didn't notice any of that. But yeah, I'm sure he was frustrated. He didn't play particularly well. It happens to everyone. And, so we made I played some guys in the second half that were, my job ultimately is to try to win the basketball game, and there's some buttons I get to push. I don't get to make layups. I don't get to pass it to guys, but I do get to push a couple buttons. Some of them have to do with personnel combinations that are in at the right time. A couple things that we're going to run, and we're going to be man or zone. And I thought our best chance at that point was that group that we had that started the half. We made a run. Hayden turned it over, and that ended the run. We made a couple substitutions. They went on a run. And so I subbed back, and then we started clawing our way back.
Yeah, I mean, the GG Jackson situation is not the only problem with this basketball team. I mean, when you watch it, if you've watched throughout the season, you can see there is a definite talent gap differential, just in terms of having guys that can attack the basket, having guys that can score the basketball. Vandy was so much better. Wes, I've been paying attention to Gamecock basketball for a while. It's not my primary sport I cover. Last night, and I think when you see it in person, you get an even better sense. It's one of the worst rebounding performances I've seen. I mean, aside from Josh Gray. Box outs.
Vanderbilt was the only team under the basket, especially in the first half.
Yeah. I mean, it was, and some of it, the ball didn't bounce South Carolina's way on some long rebounds, things like that. There are just a lot of issues there. But the GG one is, that situation is obviously amplified because when he came to South Carolina, it got so much attention. The type of player he is, his 5-star status, being committed to North Carolina and ultimately going to South Carolina. And then just aside from, if he, again, like to Wes's point, if he was just not playing well and that was it, that would be one conversation. But now we've got this frustration with the Instagram thing and then not starting games after that and coming off the bench. And when he does come off the bench, not playing well again and then not being engaged. And so I don't know what the answer is. I don't even know if I can pinpoint, root cause, but it's certainly not a positive thing right now for South Carolina.
Well, I think, again, I said this earlier this week. We have to remember, again, not making an excuse. We got to remember not only a freshman, but a freshman early enrollee, and not even an early enrollee like, oh, you enrolled for a semester in football and went through practice early. We're talking about going from being the man in high school to early enrollee playing, against other college athletes. And a lot of times guys that have played a lot more and have had, year, 2, sometimes 4 years in a college strength program, and an opportunity to mature, an opportunity to learn how to handle things, to where there isn't so much scrutiny on you, and sort of knowing like, hey, the cameras are on you in high school because you're dominant, and the cameras are going to be on you in college, whether you're dominant or whether you're sort of going through it. And it's going to be if you're GG Jackson, the only way you're going to not be a story is if you just have a regular old average game. If you have a great game, it's a story. If anybody else on this roster has a 2-point game, it's not a headline.
Mm-mm.
But because GG Jackson has some off games, the cameras are automatically on him. And then the cameras are going to be dialed into, well, how is he reacting? Is he standing up and cheering with the same vigor as his teammates? How does he look? What's going through his head right now? What is his expression? All those things are going to be talked about. And, I find myself back and forth on the matter of, hey, it's not necessarily fair to him, but that's the territory when you're the number one prospect in the country. And, we got to have a little bit of grace with him, but at the same time, ultimately he's going to have to learn from this experience how to better handle it, I think.
Going into a timeout, I'll ask you guys a question in relation to this on the other side for what it means for the South Carolina basketball program going forward. You're listening to the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs right here on 107.5 The Game.
Have you missed any of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour?
You can catch up at 1075thegame.com
Or by downloading our 1075 The Game app on iTunes or Google Play.
1075 The Game on-demand podcast menu. Sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
If you're dealing with injuries or pain, our team is here to get you better sooner.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we know how serious injuries change people's lives. I'm Jason Reynolds. When you're involved in a major car or truck accident, my team is on your side. You don't have to be alone. Let's do this together.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, my team is with you from start to finish. We're people with a passion for helping injured workers. Bring your case to us and stop the worrying. We've got this.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
We keep the clutter out of your gutter. Call on the gutter man.
The Guttermen have been providing top-notch service throughout the Midlands for over 47 years, building their business on relationships, not gimmicks. And you can call them locally, not a 1-800 number. Call them today at 791-7147 and look for the guys in the powder blue trucks.
We keep the clutter out of your gutter. Call on the gutter man.
Business owners, this is South Carolina quarterback Spencer Rattler. The Garnet Trust is connecting businesses like yours with athletes like me through NIL deals. Head over to GarnetTrust.com or 1075thegame.com to find out you can leverage the power of an athlete endorsement to grow your business.
Plus text and title with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details.
I love Kia.
Now through President's Day, JT gives you a $500 Visa gift card with every new vehicle purchase. At JT's Kia, there are hundreds of new Kias. You'll fall head over wheels with a new Kia Sorento. Drive for just $219 a month. Has your credit heart been broken? When other dealers say no, JT says those 3 special words. Yes, yes, yes. Get a $500 Visa gift card with your new Kia now till President's Day. JT's Kia, Killian Commons Road, jtskia.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
For more than 15 years, Integrated Media has been Columbia's leader in home theater technology, and now they invite you into their new Experience Center to see for yourself the kinds of TVs, sound systems, security systems, and more that they can install in your home or on your patio or pool deck. TVs from Sony and Samsung that feature the latest in 4K quality, amazing surround sound from mounted speakers, or the flexibility of a Sonos system, amplifiers that utilize the latest from Dolby to bring everything together, and it's all controlled from an easy-to-use app on your phone. Call 803-948-8327 to set up a time for the Integrated Media crew to come to your home or to make an appointment to visit the Experience Center and truly take in what today's technology could be like in your home. Are you building or remodeling? Integrated Media works with contractors for a seamless installation, and they're always available to answer questions and concerns. Indoors, outdoors, one room, or the whole house, plus Wi-Fi that works everywhere. Call 803-948-8327. See them on Facebook and Instagram and get the best in home theater from Integrated Media.
If you have tax problems, it can affect all aspects of your life. Now's the time to do something about it. Hi, I'm local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. Everyone at our firm truly believes we can improve the lives of our clients by eliminating the stress and worry of IRS tax problems. We're a local South Carolina law firm dedicated to resolving your tax problems for good. Simply put, we solve tax problems. So if you're facing IRS tax liens, bank or wage levies, or have years of unfiled tax returns, come meet with us in person. Your first visit is free and confidential. We'll show you how we will solve your problem and how much it'll cost. So don't put it off any longer. Call us now at 803-771-9800. That's 803-771-9800. Or go to our website at irsproblemsolving.com. It is time to do something about that tax problem. Your solution is right here in South Carolina. So hire a South Carolina attorney. Hire me, John Ecton.
When your business information is missing or inconsistent across the internet, search engines won't find you, and customers won't either. Help ensure customers see you and not your competitors. Boost your findability. CumulusBoost.com. CUMULUS Boost.com.
Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head on your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Back in on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, Wes, and Chris along with you. Continuing on our conversation about G.G. Jackson. And look, he comes in as a highly touted recruit. We kind of figured he was going to be a one and done. And, you know, he did tease on his Instagram that there's the opportunity that he might want to come back for another year. I'd say most likely not at this point. If he leaves this program after 1 year on bad terms with Coach Paris, and, you know, when you're looking at local guys like Cam Scott, other high recruits that you're trying to get in here, G.G. Jackson having a negative connotation about this program, walking away from it, what concern level does that have for trying to bring in another guy like him, at least while Paris is here going forward?
Well, I'll say this. Some of the rest of that quote from Paris, I don't have a lot of conversation with guys about playing time, some here and there, but not a ton. He says, I'm committed to, will always play the guys who have the best chance to win the game. Usually that comes down to how you're performing. Sometimes that's affected by other things you may have going on. I don't know how much coach speak was in what Paris said, at least going off just the public comments. It doesn't seem like there's been an incredible amount of conversation between he and G.G. Jackson. Again, I don't know that for a fact. There may be coach speak at play. South Carolina has 5 regular season games left, and they'll have at least one SEC tournament game. So 6 games left potentially in G.G. Jackson's career at South Carolina, potentially. At this point, I don't care who shares the blame. I don't think you care whose, quote, fault is it? Whose fault is it? Does GG have to be better? Does Lamont Paris have to? Don't even care anymore. They got to figure it out. And I think if you are looking at this from just like a pure old school, like, hey, every guy on the team is equal and we're going to treat everybody exactly the same. And, playing time is not discussed. I get it. That's an old school way team sports have been approached. And there's lots of coaches out there who would applaud that. However, GG Jackson is unique. He's the most highly recruited guy that's ever signed with South Carolina in the modern recruiting rankings era. And obviously you can't just pretend he's just another guy. So I think whatever they have to do to figure this out, you got to figure it out. I don't know. We don't know what the relationship is between Paris and GG. We don't know from a personal side. It has seemed like up until this recent stretch that the two of them have gotten along well, I thought. How much of this is like sometimes you can have disagreements in sports, disagreements in business, disagreements that don't affect your actual relationship. So I don't want for us to pretend we know exactly what the relationship is between these two guys because a lot of that is behind closed doors. So I don't want to sort of conflate the two things. However, perception right now with how this is going is not good. Carolina has finally gotten a guy to stay home, a 5-star guy, an in-state guy who could have gone really anywhere in the country. He stayed home. You got 6 games to figure it out. Again, don't care whose fault it is. Just find a way to fix it.
Just fix it. To go back to GG individually, Michie Johnson talked about this and said he used actually what's the exact terms. I don't know if you read this and you kind of had it subconsciously on your brain, but he said learning experience. There's obviously some things we forget. GG Jackson, he's not Kevin Durant, right? Right now. So he wasn't supposed to be Superman. And I think some people, because of this overwhelming desire to get somebody of his caliber into the program after seeing guy after guy after guy leave the state and go and star other places, you're kind of projecting that onto him, fair or not. Normally unfair. That said, his on-court performance should be better than what it has been, especially the last few games. And that includes the on-court performance. That includes the body language. I'm with you. We could sit here and debate it till we're blue in the face about why has this happened, why it should not be this way. You have to make it better. The perception that you're speaking of, Wes, is important because it goes back to the perception is reality type thing. Perception in recruiting is big. It is the reality. What your program looks like and is viewed on the outside is the most important thing in recruiting. So you finally get this caliber guy into your program. What are other opposing schools going to do?
Mm-hmm.
What if this ends poorly with GG? If other prospects ask him and his family about their experience and they don't have positive things to say, what is that going to say? It's going to speak louder than any recruiting graphic or presentation or whatever that you want to show. So we don't know, again, if GG will return next year. I mean, kind of with Tyler, does it make a ton of sense right now? In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. I do think that the best opportunity to fix this, as we've discussed, probably is him coming back for another year. Is his draft stock as high now as it was? I don't know if we have a great answer to that.
Well, I think the first, and again, we don't know. Maybe this has happened. I think the first step is a real honest closed door conversation that maybe none of us know anything about.
I want to take a second to tell you guys about the fine folks at Integrated Media. They can provide solutions for you, not to the situation with pertaining to basketball, but if you want to watch basketball, other sports on your television, they can help you do that. It'll still be your home, but your home will just be smarter with Michael Nathan and his team at Integrated Media. Check out their website at integratedmediainc.com. Smart homes, home theater, audio, video solutions, TV installation, security, and cameras. They can help you control everything in your home, from your lights, your sound system, to your security from your cell phone. Give them a call, 803-948-8327. Make sure you check out their Facebook page and their Instagram page for some awesome examples of some things they've done in the past. Again, that's the team at Integrated Media, integratedmediainc.com.
Before we close out the basketball talk on the other side, I do want to say lost in all the GG talk is the fact that this is a game where South Carolina, the final score is 75-64. Never really felt that. It did kind of feel like, okay, maybe they're about to make some crazy run at the end and get this thing closer. But Chris, I mean, 38-18 at halftime. Y'all talked about the lack of rebounding. Second chance points for Vanderbilt, 22, 11 for South Carolina. Guess what? The difference in the game was 11 points, quite literally. So, I mean, you look at the time, the game flow of this game, time with lead. Vanderbilt, 37 minutes and 30 seconds. South Carolina, 39 seconds. So, lost in the fact that we're all talking about Gigi is the fact that Carolina, for whatever reason, and, you know, I don't have the reasons for you, but for whatever reasons, did not play well, did not execute at all to start this game. 38-18 at home against a Vanderbilt team that, you know, is not some powerhouse.
Yeah, the rebounding. And Vanderbilt's played better lately, right? But definitely not a powerhouse, but they just looked they looked superior really in every way, certainly for the first half. For a lot of the second, South Carolina did themselves no favors. They got off to the shot selection at the beginning of the game was not good. The good shots they were getting were not falling. Vanderbilt was really hurting them on the glass. And then also, guys, a historic occasion for me last night as I took in the game. First time in the history of basketball, a team was able to play that good a defense without fouling in the first half. Absolutely remarkable. 0 fouls for Vanderbilt in the first half.
Again,
pretty impressive.
They were the only ones under the basket in the first half.
They were.
Can't get fouled. The other team's not there.
That's true. Well, hey, I mean, maybe we can have Hayden Brown on and ask him what happened with the elbow right to the tooth. No call. That wasn't the primary factor, of course, as Wes said, in South Carolina losing the game. Did themselves absolutely no favors.
All right, we'll come back on the other side, wrap up today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs right here on 107.5 The Game.
Got something to say? Ring us up on the Love Chevy phone line. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer at 803-404-6100. Your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
Love is in the air.
It's a brand new day.
Birds are singing duets together.
And squirrels are chasing each other across the treetops.
Everyone has a twinkle in their eye.
Boom, chicka-boom.
Don't let junk get in the way.
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
And you'll be back to your old self again.
We've got magic in our fingertips.
And that's why everyone starts dancing.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. When the prospect of divorce becomes a reality, you need a partner that you can count on. If you're a man in this situation, consider contacting Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men navigate complex legal matters for 30 years.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Columbia area attorneys. 1201 Main Street, Suite 840, Columbia, South Carolina, 29201. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation and discreet shipping if prescribed. You'll love your results. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Hey, this is Ray.
And Mary Ann with Absolute Glass.
And we're happy to have been voted Lexington's best glass store for 13 years in a row.
Many drivers are unaware that your cracked windshields can be replaced, usually at absolutely no cost to you.
If all the high-end car dealerships in town can trust us to do their glass needs, so can you.
We service the Midlands both at our shop in Lexington, but we are also happy to come to you at home or work.
Find us online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
And remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Terms and conditions apply. Visit ISSA online for details.
Tired of the 9-to-5 grind? Looking for something different that's flexible, fulfilling, and pays well? How'd you like to get paid to work out? Now you can with ISSA, the global leader in personal fitness certification.
There's a huge demand for certified personal trainers right now. And once you get ISSA certified, they guarantee you'll get a job. Trainers can make as much as $200 an hour. Yes, I said $200 an hour. And with ISSA, you can be certified in as little as 4 weeks. Just text BENCH to 323232 now to get started for free. You do everything at your own pace and 100% online.
Pursue your passion in specializations like yoga, nutrition, or strength training. Live life on your terms. Get certified and train like you want. Start your own business, work at a gym, or make health and fitness your side hustle. Whatever works for you. Just don't wait.
Get started today and be certified in as little as 4 weeks. Just text BENCH to 323232 right now to get started for free. Text the word BENCH to 323232. Text BENCH to 323232.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game.
A great selection of new Chevys is available now at Herndon Chevrolet. The lot is packed with inventory and more is on the way. So shop your hometown Chevy dealer today.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
With Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head.
on your home of the Gamecocks.
1075 The Game.
Back on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs, Tyler, Russ, and Chris, along with you for a couple more minutes. Coach Barris talked about this after the game as well, just how perplexed he is by how much this team struggles playing at home. Obviously, the 2 wins in conference play have been on the road. And last night against a team that you took to overtime in their own gym to begin conference play, you just, again, never really had much of a chance after Vanderbilt got out to that hot start. When you look at the next home conference game, it's going to be number 1 Alabama coming to town on next Wednesday. That game tipping off at 9 o'clock. And if you start out slow like you did last night, you're going to get more than embarrassed by that team.
Yeah, Barry weighing in on our YouTube saying, just food for thought, most of the other talented freshmen in the SEC have an experienced team around them. Yeah, I mean, 100% true, Barry. I think that's something we all took into account and we're probably concerned about from a South Carolina perspective is that GG was not coming into a team that, had a bunch of guys returning or had a bunch of guys who have played together. I mean, it was almost a completely brand new team, brand new coach, all trying to come together. Nobody had high expectations for this season to be some huge year, I think. Now, were there higher expectations than maybe what we've seen so far? I think that's safe to say. Were there higher expectations that this GG situation would not erode into what we've seen? Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I think at this point, there's blame to go around. I think I really liked, you referenced this earlier. I really liked Michi's comments that, I think he sees it from a player perspective. He knows, and GG's a great kid. Like, let's not get it mixed up. He's a great kid. He's going through it right now. Everybody's got to figure out how to handle this thing moving forward. To me, it really has reached the point where you don't care what has happened. You don't care why it's happened. Find a way to fix it.
Can you fix it without him coming back another year in 6 games? This team's not playing in the postseason.
Well, it starts with a conversation, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe that's happened. I don't.
Yeah.
We're not over there, but it starts with I think it starts a lot of times when you have a disagreement. This process of moving forward comes with both sides saying, "Hey, I could have handled this differently."
Solid advice. I needed that today.
Yeah, I mean,
but seriously, but the external, can the external be fixed? The external, what we see. So the two things of better body language and GG playing a little better, maybe the team performing better, and then the perception from outside. Realistically, with the way the world is now, GG could score 30 points a game, and he and Lamont could hug every time he comes on and off the court, and people are probably still going to focus on that bad stretch, right? But externally, can it get fixed in 6 games or so?
Well, I think that also will depend on the actual reality of it. Does GG, let's say it is just 6 more games. What does GG tell people about his experience? Is GG still promoting South Carolina when he's playing in the NBA? Is GG telling other recruits, hey, man, I was in a situation, but it was nobody's fault. You can go win there. I think the reality of the situation, maybe the perception can't be fixed, but can the reality of it be fixed moving forward? South Carolina has had a history, for whatever reason, of guys not always coming back to school to be around the program. The last thing you want is for this thing to end with GG not feeling like he wants to come back and watch games and be around the team. That to me is the big thing moving forward, whether he comes back or not.
This will be certainly a conversation we continue to monitor as these last few games of the regular season go on for Carolina men's basketball. We're out of time today for the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Terry and Jay coming up next with a halftime show right here on 107.5 Game.